Hello and welcome to Technology Artist in New York. My guest today is Patrick Cheng from xCubicle, and he'll tell us a little bit more about Monero. And it looks like we have some additional guests today who also want to know a little bit more about this privacy coin. So without further ado, xCubicle, welcome to the channel.
The very first implementation of Monero, or the crypto note protocol, which was what the underpinning of how Monero is made. It originally came from Bitcoin and came out in 2012. And then from there, people didn't really notice it until 2014. But then by that time, 80% of the coins were mined already. And then in 2014, they decided to hard fork it because it was kind of like a scam, like, oh, one guy has all the coins, you know. And then it ended up with, they forked it to Monero originally. And then that was supposedly a scam. The developers were scheming something. I don't know exactly what, from what I remember. But then a bunch of developers, as of today, those developers, they forked Monero to Monero. That's how we come about to Monero. All right. So then from 2014 to 2016, there were no good wallets for it. For Windows or Mac, everything was mostly command line. You have to do everything, type everything out. You want to send coins, you got to know the commands to send coins. Most people don't want to deal with that. It's too techy. So it left untouched for quite some time. But I mean, things notable is, very first transaction was a painting for 2,500 XMR. I don't know how much it was back in the days, if anybody knows. But and then. It really hit the public view in 2016 with the acceptance on Alphabet. It's a dark web website where you buy drugs and all these illicit things that you do with it. I heard about it since the early days when there was a bunch of competing crypto note coins besides Monero. They have a Blueberry coin and a whole bunch of other wacky coins that was based off this crypto note protocol that is completely different from Bitcoin. All right, so that's when it really reached the public's eye in 2016. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys, most of you know, Monero is a privacy coin. So the purpose of it is it prevents things from happening like chain analysis, rich lists, Coinbase banning accounts. So chain analysis is basically where they can analyze where you're spending your coins. Like maybe you sent it to your brother sent it to his friend that bought something on the dark web, like drugs or whatever. Your Coinbase account will be shut down because they would track it all the way back. And they see that your coins went through that route, but you didn't know that you were going to buy. You did it, as a good, gesture to give coins to a family member or friend, and then you didn't know that they're going to do stuff with it, right? So that's one reason for privacy.
That's why it's banned from Coinbase, I'm sure that's it.
Yeah, maybe, right? So that's one thing to be aware of. Chain analysis, rich lists that prevents from people being able to compile rich lists. If you just type in Google, just type in Bitcoin rich list, it will compile all the people that owns that owns the most coins, like the top 1,000. So, you can see how much Coinbase has, you can see how much Binance has, you can see how much all these other exchanges are holding in their wallets, in the Bitcoin wallets. And they're actually labeled publicly that, oh, this is Coinbase's account, and everybody knows it's Coinbase's account, and they have like 100-something thousand Bitcoins or whatever, right? So it prevents rich lists from being able to be built through privacy type coins. And then same thing, Coinbase banning accounts. It doesn't have to be drugs. It could be like maybe you're funding a nonprofit that's helping orphanages in Iran, but your government doesn't like it, so then they just ban your account because of that, right? Or they'll find you or whatnot. One important trait of privacy type coins is being able to understand fungibility. I didn't really understand this literally 8 months ago when I got into Monero. Fungibility is basically a means of interchange where you could, you think about you splitting a $100 bill into 5 $20 bills. It's still a $100 bill value, right? So that's a fungible example. Bitcoin, it's hard to say. It could be fungible, it cannot be fungible, because the problem is that, let's say if I was to give you 1 Bitcoin and you knowingly that those Bitcoins were stolen from an exchange and they're tainted because you can see it through the blockchain, and then, or would you take a white Bitcoin where you know for a fact that it's clean, that it then wasn't dealt with drugs and go to the drug markets, it has a value. I mean, I wouldn't take the tainted coins and mix with my white coins. Now it would be suspect, right? So I don't want to deal with that headache, and that's why some people say Bitcoin is not exactly 100% fungible. It's semi-fungible. It really depends. But there's a lot of chain analysis companies. They're starting to compile all these things like who owns this address, that address, and that's a really major threat to these transparency coins. So a non-fungible example. So think of it as trading a Starbucks cup of coffee for a Dunkin' Donuts cup of coffee. Technically, it's still coffee, but it's not coffee, right? But it's not the same coffee, so you won't really trade the same thing. So usually that goes for unique items. You can't trade. Okay, so fungible is a very important thing to understand with Monero. Next thing, which I find very, very interesting, that I just read recently this afternoon, and then build off this whole section, just talk about it. So Monero's adoption is going to be driven by the System D economy, which is called the shadow economy. It's very interesting. So it's illicit economic activities such as black market transactions and undeclared work existing alongside a country's official economy. What that means is everyone has joined the shadow economy. If you went on Craigslist and you paid a painter to paint your wall and you paid them cash, you just contributed to the shadow economy because you're not paying taxes, you're not paying your payroll taxes or whatnot, right? So everyone has, touched upon this one way or another. It could be a third world country, somebody selling carrots on the road, and they're collecting cash. Same idea. So that is the System D economy. You could Google that. It's a whole entire article about the System D. So with the System D economy, there's actually 5 pieces to this. I found this very cool, this chart. I never thought about this. So this is actually broken down into white, gray, black, pink, and red markets. So then you got moral and immoral portions of it. So the white market we all are part of. Legal employment, you pay taxes, do legal business, you collect, sales tax, and you only sell regulated goods, right? And then you got the gray market, employment off the books, right? So, I mean, you're not going to be arrested for it, but, it's frowned upon, right? And then on tax goods, on regulated goods, so that's the gray market. And then you got the black market, stuff that's just, get you arrested. Drugs, sex, weapons. And then those are just the moral category, and then we have the immoral stuff, which is the pink market, which are, I don't know, is it legal, illegal? It really depends, right? I mean, it really depends on if it's legalized by what the government says, right? War, taxation, state torture, imprisonment, and compulsory education. So that's the pink market. I mean, it really depends on the country, right? And then you got the red market. That's like, it's horrible, worst stuff ever. Murder, death, rape, slavery. That's stuff nobody wants to deal with. All right. So these are the 5 markets that encompass the System D economy. And then some good examples that I bring up that it doesn't always have to be bad. So this is a moral dilemma. So really good example is cancer patients. So let's say you're in China and you have cancer. But the thing is that in China, there's this specific drug that is not approved in China yet, but is FDA approved in the US. And it's a life-saving drug. You're about to die, you only have a couple of months to live, and you need this drug because it's been scientifically tested, researched in the US, and that it could save your life. But the thing is that you cannot legally attain this because you're in China. So what's the only route to take? Is to buy it on the dark market. right? So that's one way of doing it, or you can just dive and because you need to follow the rules, right? So that's another thing. And then inhalers. I put this on because literally just over this weekend, my sister called me and about getting an inhaler for my nephew because he has asthma. And then, oh, okay, these things must be over the counter, right? You can get it anywhere. But then there's some researchers like, okay, we could go CVS, Rite Aid. Oh, how much is this thing? Like, hey, what the hell? I can't. It's nowhere to be found on CVS or Rite Aid or any Amazon for that, all that matter. And the thing is that this inhaler, which is life-saving for some people that have really severe asthma, luckily my nephew doesn't. But the thing is that it got repatented I think a couple years ago. I don't know, does anybody use inhalers here? I'm just curious. You do, right? So you might know more than I do.
I actually get my inhaler. I'm Irish. I have to go home to get inhalers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's difficult to get in here.
Yeah, because it's only prescription only. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, prescription only.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, they panned the distribution mechanism, and then you think about that. You know, that's kind of ridiculous. You know, life-saving over-the-counter drug literally costs like $5-10 to make, but they charge $50 plus. And it's prescription only because of some pharmaceutical company, they needed to, you know, make profits on it. And then a lot of people get it from other countries, Mexico, Ireland, or, you know, it only literally costs $5-10. And this is stuff that you can buy on the dark web, right? And these are, you know, life-saving stuff. It's not like, you know, dealing with illegal stuff. Technically, you know, this is kind of gray market, but, you know, buying prescription only stuff. But obviously, no one has vetted it, and you don't know how legit this stuff is, right? So that's always that risk with these type of things that you buy online. But that's why you got the rating system, all right? So give you a bit of dark history, all right? 2013, Silk Road came about, and what the revenue stream it made was $100 million that year. That's projected, not accurate, obviously. But then in 2014, Silk Road 2.0 came live right after they took out Silk Road. That made $150 million projected. And then 2015 and 2017, a whole bunch of dark markets came about. Evolution, Aurora, Alphabet, they're all taken down by the feds right now. But the thing is that they made $250 million. All right, so we're seeing a trend here. Okay, so in 2017, Alphabet and many other dark markets got taken out by the Operation Bayonet. It's spearheaded by the DA and the drug, war on drugs, right? To take these guys out because they're making way too much, taking a big cut of the U.S. government's drug market. So it can't have a monopoly there, right? So put these guys out, but obviously they pop up again, always, as always. So when I learned about Monero, I learned about reading the Alphabet article when they got busted, and then from the report of the government, they reported what was seized from the site. And they were able to seize Ethereum, Litecoin, and they were able to see how much money they had. But it was only Monero that they had an unknown amount of Monero. So that raised alarm bells for me. It's like, whoa, what the hell is going on here? You know? And then that's when I did my crazy research and started just Googling stuff, reading stuff, learning how this stuff works. And even at that time, it was crazy clunky to use Monero. It's like ridiculous. It's like back in like 2010 or 2011 using Bitcoin, everything was command line. Right? It's still kind of like that too. I don't know who the coin is. I took a quote from somewhere, but I thought it was a good quote. If Bitcoin is not safe for the drug dealers, then it's not safe for anyone. Okay? So it's kind of true in a way. It really depends. All right. So like I said, the trend is emerging. So as of today, Silk Road 3.0, which is I think it's still up. I don't know if it is. I pulled this from an article somewhere. They take Bitcoin, Monero, Litecoin, Ethereum, Dream Market, I think it's one of the biggest markets right now. They take Bitcoin, Monero, and Bitcoin Cash. All right, and then got Empire Market, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero. So I'm sure you guys see some type of trend here. Okay, so this came out. This market was released in October 2017, only less than 10 months ago or something like that. The Liberatus market is the only market that is Monero only. So what I quoted from them is, we strongly believe that Monero is the future of all dark net purchases and the only real way to make anonymous transactions online. We believe the time has come to move away from Bitcoin and to embrace more advanced Monero technology. All right, and so next thing is, why is there such a delay in adoption? I mean, Monero came out in 2014. I mean, it's 2018. I mean, it's still not widely adopted. You know, if it was that good, why wasn't everybody using it, right? So, I mean, a lot of those things start from the dark web, and to have a proper dark market, you gotta have your multi-sig set up properly. Multi-sig is basically where you have 3 keys to be able to access your coins. So one key is held by the I think buyer, and then one key is held by the market, the market, and then another person holds it, and then it locks your funds so you can't get scammed basically. So that's the reason for multi-sig support, and it's needed for dark market adoption. And until it's fully implemented, it's not going to be, Monero is not going to be widely used yet. But multi-sig support only came out in Monero a month ago, so it's still extremely early. So that's one thing to be on lookout once they get this multi-sig stuff up. I mean, I tried playing with it. It's too tricky for me because everything's command line. You can't do anything through the GUI. So, all right, and that is a little bit of shadow economy. Any questions? Sure. Questions, right? For shadow economy, something to check out. Just Google. Just write down systemd. All right. So go over the Monero tech. So total supply is 18 million coins. Bitcoin is 21 million. Ethereum is 4 times the supply of Monero. That's 80 million Ethereum. It's about 80 million. Litecoin, same thing, 80 million. It's 4 times the amount of this. And you have to think that, you know, all the big whales of the Bitcoin whales, the Ethereum whales, the Litecoin whales that own like millions and millions and billions of dollars of coins, they're gonna one day, you know, want their funds private. They want to be able to just look at the rich list and see and be a target, right? Because they're gonna be able to see who owns what address, and they're gonna move a lot of those funds into a privacy coin. Might not be Monero, might be something else. Who knows? But as it stands, Monero is the king of privacy right now, and all of those coins is going to be mined in 2022. But the supply is unlimited. It's but the thing is that it's a very small release of inflation after the year 2022. But most of it will be released by then. And think about the massive amount of coins chasing one privacy coin. You know.
So what's going to be the reward for the miners?
So after 2022, the reward for the miners is going to have a constant a release of Monero is 0.3 Monero every block.
Versus what's right now?
Versus right now, I think it's 6, if I'm correct. I don't know.
There are
exactly.
also fees?
Yeah, there's always fees. Yeah.
Transaction fees?
Yeah, transaction fees. So Monero transaction fees are actually very high. Yeah, you know, you have to pay the price.
Maybe it becomes higher after 2022.
No, they're working on technology to actually reduce the size, to reduce the fee. So that's in the works.
But it has to be business to have a miner. So it still has to be a business to
yes.
pay for the power.
Yes. That's why they're gonna still have the incentive of releasing coins of 0.3 Monero every block. Yeah. So current supply that's mined so far is 16 million coins. So there's still 2 million to be mined in the next 4 years, right? 4 years. Block times are 2 minutes. So every time you send something, wait 2 minutes and then it confirms. Bitcoin is 10 minutes. Ethereum is I think 15 seconds. Yeah, 15 seconds. But still, you have to wait a couple blocks anyway. So these are things to account for. All right. So these are basic Monero tech. So details. So where I came into Monero, it was a little confusing because I came from the Bitcoin world, Ethereum world, Litecoin. I was used to just getting a public key and a private key. It's just 2 keys, but Monero has 4 keys. The reason why it has 4 keys is they do some math magic to be able to hide hide everything to make the blockchain private. So just understand that there is a view key and a spend key, and then a view key has a public view key and then a private view key. And then in the spend key, you have a public spend key and a private spend key. Okay? And the thing that you don't want compromised is your private spend key. If you lose your private spend key, they can generate all the rest of them. But if you just release even the private view key, they can't access anything, so that's fine. That's something that I learned over time, because I didn't know what to keep private or what not to keep private. And then I just learned that private spend key is the thing that you don't want people seeing. Thing to note is all Monero addresses are 95 characters. So they're the longest cryptocurrency address that I've seen. It's like ridiculously long. It's like it always wraps to the next line. It's just crazy. But it starts with a 4, so that's something to keep in mind. It starts with a 4. And just last month, when they released the updated Monero wallet, they introduced sub-addresses. Now this time you can generate different type of addresses under your account to give to, let's say, because problem with previously, before a month ago, because there was only one address for your Monero, which is start with a 4. But the thing is that a lot of people were using the same address on Binance, and then they use it on other exchanges, Kraken. Because the thing is that if you were able to subpoena all addresses and link all the Monero withdrawal addresses, because you're just using one, because you only use the same one, it starts with 4, now they're able to link that, oh, this is the same person that has this address. But they won't be able to see how much money you have in the account, but they just know that it was taken out into that same address. So, which is why they came out with sub-addresses, that now you can generate a different address for each exchange, so now you can stay anonymous. And those sub-addresses, they start with the number 8. So that's something to keep in mind.
So 2 questions.
Yep.
I'm guessing the private view key actually allows you to view your balance?
Yes. So the private view key, so a lot of times when you do a transaction, let's say you did a transaction and somebody said, oh, prove to me that you sent the coins, a lot of times. So because Monero is so private, you cannot see anything. This is when you give out your private view key to the person and to show them that, look, I sent you the money, look, it came in, right? And that's the private view key. You can see all incoming transactions, but you cannot see it go out though. You cannot see it go out. You can only see it coming in one way. So that's the purpose of a private view key. You give it out.
What's the public spend key do?
So the public view key and the public spend key is combined together. They hash it somehow to generate your address. So if you just have those 2, you can generate your address. I don't know what the public spend key is for exactly, but I just know they combine those 2. If you just have those 2, you'll be able to get your address. That's how it works. The key technologies behind the privacy of Monero, it comes down to a lot of these things. Currently, ring signatures. So what that does is makes your transactions. Am I correct?
Yes.
Right? Yes. Yes. So ring signatures. So think of it as, let's say everyone had a $100 bill, and everyone threw the $100 bill on the table, and everybody took the $100 bill back, and you mix it all up. But now the thing is that you don't know who owns whose $100 bill. It's still a $100 bill, right? So that's kind of what mixing transactions are, or tumbler. You're tumbling everybody's money together and taking it back out to a specific address.
I thought it was more like a joint bank account, where like
Oh, yeah,
one
yeah.
bank account,
Yeah.
15 people own it, and 15 people are able to spend from that bank account, and then one transaction is made, but you cannot tell which one out of those 15 made that.
Yeah, something like
all
that.
15
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something
Like a
like
bunch
that.
of rando public spend keys. And, well, hey, one of us actually did the spending, and somebody has a private key for that one. But this unknown private key is the other, you can sign it so that you guarantee at least one of the private keys is known.
Yeah.
So you know, yeah, so you know that there actually is an input here. You can spend whatever that particular person, one of those huge rings actually has their UTX up. You can do that, but you can never identify which one. It's somebody there. Yeah.
Does that have multiple iterations like that, or does that one ring per transaction?
One ring per transaction. But you also guarantee you want every public spend key is unique per block, so that way you guarantee.
Oh, I see that.
Yeah, but if you receive Monero, even if you don't use it, it'll look as if you're spending tons of transactions. So
Yeah.
within a few months, it'll look as if you've been very active in the network, when in fact you've done nothing. Very obfuscated.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, I haven't like really analyzed it. I haven't like really looked at it because it's just so confusing. Look at the Monero logic. Like I don't know what I'm looking
It's
at.
gonna be 7 people in each transaction now.
Yeah, something like that.
7, but you can scale it up to a large number just in case you want that.
Yeah.
Don't do that because it makes you stick out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So next thing is stealth addresses. So I don't know how they do the magic for this, but stealth addresses is one of the techs behind Monero, where you can hide the address. If you look at the blockchain, you can't see any addresses. It's just like random numbers or letters or something like that, and that's how you hide the address. And then you have ring CT, ring competitive transactions. This was it was proposed by G Maxwell, I think, of one of the Bitcoin devs. Supposedly, Bitcoin might adopt this. Basically, it hides the amounts. If this ever gets into Bitcoin, you won't be able to see the amounts, but you'll be able to see addresses going money. Just somebody transacting with this other address. That's all you're gonna see. But that's still not like super private. So that's
Dash
actually.
also uses that right now.
Which one?
Dash.
Oh, Dash
Yeah,
uses.
it's a private file.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So hiding the amounts. And then coming in 2018, October, I think, no, September, I think it was. They're gonna have bulletproofs. So bulletproofs is basically a new tech where it reduces the size of the transactions to reduce the transaction cost. Because right now it costs 0.002 Monero to just do a transaction. It's almost like 50 cents to $1 just to do a transaction. It's kind of high. They're supposedly be able to reduce transaction size by 80%, which is a big deal. Because right now it's not exactly usable for microtransactions. But you know, if you really want your privacy, you gotta pay for it, obviously. And then Corvi is in the works. I don't know when they're gonna be done with that, so that's just a ongoing project. So right now, Corvi, what that does, it hides your IP address completely. Because right now, I don't know if any other coin can hide your IP address as a node operator or something like that.
All coins can hook up to Tor.
Yeah.
All of them can. But it's never easy, and it's just Tor, so it has all the problems with Tor.
Yeah.
So Corvi is an I2P implementation.
Yeah, it's I2P.
Yeah.
And supposedly, Corvi is backed by the Monero guys specifically, right?
Yeah. And they specifically made it as a separate API so that other projects can use that off of that.
Yeah.
It's kind of pointless for just Monero and just Corvi itself. So if other projects use that, it opens up so you can identify
Exactly where you're coming from.
Right. So
Yeah.
it's going to be an open API.
Yeah. So then once they implement Corvi, it'll be like literally everything's super private, and then you can't see anything.
There will be a testnet introduction running in DevCon in August.
Oh, is it?
Yes, that's the plan.
Oh, okay. That'll be interesting. Yeah. So a lot of developments on this.
Just FYI, bulletproofs, what that does is it takes the ring CT a ring CT now has to run every transaction. The bulletproofs reduce ring CT to a very minimal size, but they do it for the entire block. So you have one Peterson committee and bulletproofs for one thing, so it reduces the size of the block by a lot.
Also, that's how they're compressing a lot of this stuff.
Even if you have like a lot more transactions, more is the better because it's just so minimal amount of bits you have to add on just for the ring CT at that point. So ring CT will disappear at that point. would be replaced by bulletproofs.
Oh, really? Okay. Oh, I see. All right. Okay. So next we have the. It's just a quick GUI interface of what you see. This is the old one. I wasn't able to get the updated one, but it's more or less the same. So this when you fire up Monero wallet and take the GUI up, this is how it looks. It's a little clunky here and there sometimes. I mean, for the newest version, it's still very clunky. It crashes for me. I don't know why. I just use everything command line. So we have address, and then you have integrated address, which is getting phased out, and payment IDs. So if you bought Monero on an exchange, a lot of times they ask for a payment ID. Payment IDs are, think of it as invoice numbers to know where the money came from. Because the thing is that, keep in mind, Monero, you can't see anything, right? So as an exchange, when they get Monero, they don't know where it came from because it's invisible. Because it would just look like money just showed up in their account. So that's why you have to attach a payment ID when you're sending Monero. Because then on the exchange side, you'll see that the payment ID is linked to your account, and they'll credit your account. Because if you don't put payment ID, your funds will be gone. Because unless then you gotta contact support and stuff. And then a good thing to note, one of my friends mentioned was, do I have to put a payment ID when I withdraw? Because a lot of times when you withdraw Monero from the exchanges, there's a field for a payment ID that you don't have to put that in. Because a lot of people ask like, oh, do I need a payment ID to take out money? No, you don't. Because it's just an invoice number for you, but it doesn't matter because you own that wallet, so you don't mind money just popping out of nowhere, right?